Right. Thank you for your patience, and thank you all very much for coming. We've got pretty good attendance in the end, so I'm really pleased to see you all here. Thank you very much for coming. I'm Mike Rayfield. I'm the chair of Surrey and Sussex NAPO branch. And NAPO have organised this event this evening with our colleagues in Unison as well. So thank you to Unison for your support this evening as well. Excuse me. Okay, I'm just going to do a brief introduction about the evening, and then we're going to move into key speakers. So the event has been organised by NAPO, and whilst you were taking your seat, some of you might have seen the video that was being shown that illustrates some of our concerns about the government's plans for probation. If you missed it, there is a link to that video. It's on YouTube. There's a link on the leaflets on your chairs, and there are a few spare ones there, so share them with your friends. Okay, the theme for the evening is for the discussion is to look at the government's plans to outsource up to 88% of the probation service. We ask, is it right that private companies should make a profit from crime and offender behaviour, and why change something that already works? The probation service has been in existence for over 100 years. We've evolved and changed constantly over that time. And whilst we're used to change, we are now entering into a whole new phase of untested and, in our opinion, unnecessary changes to what is already an effective and efficient public service. This is not about private versus public. It's not a matter of public good and private bad. Probation staff already work in partnership with a number of private voluntary sector providers, as well as with police, prison, health, housing, etc. We care about the communities we serve. Probation staff and those in the partner agencies work hard to protect people from crime, and the fact is we're pretty good at it. We make a difference every day. We challenge offender behaviour, and we help offenders to lead better and more productive lives, and we reduce reoffending. On the 18th of July, it was announced by this government that there has been a 9% drop in crime. The South East, including Brighton, is now safer than it has been for over 30 years. Some areas of reoffending do remain stubbornly high. For example, those serving less than 12 months in prison. There's a group of people that are held up by Mr Grayfield as to why he wants to sell off public probation to companies like G4S and Serco, etc. And that is the only group of offenders for which probation is not responsible for, yet we are blamed for their failings. The government says they're not taking risks with public safety, and yet by fragmenting the current provision between higher and lower risk offenders, that is exactly what they're doing. Risk is dynamic and can change in hours, and the more disjointed a system, the higher the risk that something will go wrong. We need to think hard and analytically before assuming that outsourcing is the most effective and efficient way of improving the quality or reducing the cost of public services. All too often, public sector procurement processes result in only a few serious bidders, a lack of competition, the reality being that some markets are dominated by just a few providers. Outsourcing can too easily lead to fragmentation of service provision. We run the risk of effectively exchanging a state monopoly for a private monopoly. We need to focus on what's right for service users, for communities and for taxpayers. There is talk of probation forming mutuals, but we're not clear about what that means for probation staff or for service delivery, or what the partners might be. Many believe that the mutuals are just a smokescreen, with the reality being that the bulk of the work will be sold to the biggest players. We know what happened at last year's Olympics, and I'm sure you've heard the recent stories about companies claiming money for tagging people that were still in prison and in some cases were dead. What happens when these companies fail or when they want to increase the profit margins? Who's going to step in? The Army had to step in last year and save the Olympics from G4S. I believe passionately in the work of the probation service. I believe in what it does, who it helps, which is victims of crime, local communities and of course the offenders, who we help to become useful citizens and to become part of their communities. I'm not alone in that. Probation staff in this city and right up and down this country work hard every day to change lives, reduce crime and protect the public. We're not opposed to change. We're always innovative. We always meet and exceed government targets. We want to be able to continue our work without the fear and uncertainty about the very existence of a professional and dedicated probation service. Thank you. Thank you for that. And this evening you're going to hear from 4 speakers. Thankfully, I was getting a bit worried that we were going to have one, and Paul was extending his as we were going on. But thankfully we've got all 4 speakers lined up, so they're all going to speak in turn, and then we are going to have plenty of time at the end for questions and comments from you. The purpose of this evening is really for you to hear a bit about what's going on, but then for us to hear from you. You're the people that are important in this, the members of the public and the people in these professions. Okay, so you're going to hear first of all from Professor Paul Senior, Director of Community Justice at Sheffield Hallam University, and then from our local MP Caroline Lucas, and then followed by Maureen Lamarinelle, President of Unison, and then lastly, but by no means least, is Ian Lawrence, the General Secretary of NAPO, and then we'll hear from you and take questions. And could I just ask you to wait until the end of all the speakers, and then we will take questions and we will do our best to answer them. Thank you. And I introduce Paul Senior.